understanding. The emphasis should be on sequencing and maintaining the full breadth of the curriculum rather than actually accelerating exam preparation at the expense of foundational knowledge. If the foundational knowledge isn't achieved, this often led to poor outcomes at GCSE and therefore a reduction of post-16 science uptake, which is not ideal at all. And if these foundations are not secured at a secondary level, pupils will not be equipped with the more advanced application-based learning that comes at A level. There's just so much to think about in terms of curriculum planning, when to introduce GCSE, because looking at all of this data from the Ofsted report, it's clear that maybe Key Stage 3 isn't the right time, but then you have to reflect your practice to things like Willingham's memory model that's shown on my slide there. Actually, if students aren't repeating concepts often enough, they will forget their learning and therefore it will not be embedded in their long-term memory store and they will find it harder to retrieve that learning. So there's a lot of things that you need to think about here, and if you haven't seen Willingham's memory model before, Ofsted's message is
Hello,
consistent.
folder.
Strong science education
Hi,
relies on curriculum coherence, clarity of
guys.
content, and a shared
You're welcome.
understanding of progression from primary through to post-16
Yeah,
level.
please drop your
These are not
names.
abstract leadership concerns, they
Don't
actually
forget
shape
to like
everyday
and
classroom
subscribe.
practice and pupils' futures, so they're
Hope you're
really,
good,
really
folder.
important
How are
areas
you?
for us to explore. To tie all of these basic concepts really useful together, I've given you the option of completing two activities, option one or option two, depending on what has interested you the most today.
Yeah, please, guys.
If you
Let's
choose option one,
like.
I would like you to spend 10 to 15 minutes writing a short letter or paragraph to outline to parents and pupils, explaining the value of studying science, highlight the
Please,
main
can we
benefits,
like?
how knowledge should progress from primary to
Guys, let's go
post-16,
like. Let's go
the role
like.
of practical work and why science is important for future learning and
Please,
opportunities.
let's like. Let's take the like up.
Alternatively, if you choose option two, please spend the same amount of time exploring the concept of all pupils learning triple science. How would this work with a national science teacher shortage and what impact on results would this have? And how would this impact post-16 study and the entry requirements to science A levels?
Guys, let's
The
like and
fewest
sub.
option
Let's
may be
like and
worth looking
sub.
at the final reference slide, and
Okay, the
looking at
first
most
person here is
recent,
folder. A
most
big shout out
recently
to
published
folder.
government report on
A big
their
shout out
updates to the
to
situation, what changes they're planning to
Lee.
make moving forward.
Shout
Very,
out
very
to
relevant
Alice.
stuff for us science
Shout
teachers.
out to Telija. Yes, I do remember you. Thank you. A big shout out
And once
to
you've completed your discussion,
Mia.
just please ensure before
A
you
big
leave
shout out to
today that you have
Hola.
completed your workbook fully,
Shout out to
you've
Dylan.
completed your exit ticket form
A big shout
online,
out to
and for your
Milo.
ITT you have saved to your
A big
folder
shout
and
out
you focus on your
to
targets to share with your mentor
Gabriel.
after
Shout
this
out
session.
to Really. A big shout out to
So to summarise today,
Emery. Guys,
today
can
we
we take the
discussed the
like up
following
to
really key
10?
ideas in
Let's take the
science. We've
like
looked
up
at
to
where
10.
science is currently
And
at
please let's
and
subscribe.
what's the bigger picture looking like
Yes, I
in
know you.
schools. We've looked at the
Yes, I do
transition
know
from
you. A big shout
primary
out
to
to
secondary and
Isabella.
post-16 science and the overlap that's
Shout
taken
out to
place.
Valoris.
We've looked at concerns over
A big
pedagogy and
shout
the
out
use of
to
assessment in
Robert. A
science.
big shout out to Robin. Hi, Robin.
And we've looked at the
Nice to
debated
meet you.
timing to introducing
Please like and
GCSE content and
subscribe.
how this could actually impact
Uh,
post-16 studies.
Thank you. Big shout out to
Just
Onta.
a final
Shout out to
reminder, please make sure that you've set your drink
Dakota.
targets and have used
A
your
big shout
target
out
setters and
to
mentor logs. I really hope
Nia.
that you've enjoyed the
Shout out
session and found it
to
useful. If you have
Kel.
a small
Is
fixed
that your
raise,
name?
if you're interested,
I
have a look
did
through
it.
there.
Thank
They
you
are
for
really
subbing. Thank you.
worth every
Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much.
Just a huge good luck from me on your teacher training
Yeah.
journey. It really
Drop your
is just
names,
the
I'll
best
give you a shout
profession.
out,
And
okay?
I wish you all the best of
A big
best.
shout out to
Thank you.
Kensley. A big shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Megan. A big shout out to Victoria. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Gabby. A big shout out to Raven. Shout out to Rosie. A big shout out to Isala. Shout out to Charlotte. Guys, let's go like and subscribe. Thank you. A big shout out to Chemistry. A big shout out to Druzy. A big shout out to Tati. Shout out to Nikki. A big shout out to Jodie. A big shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Gemma. A big shout out to um, William. Williams, nice to meet you. Please go like and subscribe. Thank you. A big shout out to Raven. A big shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Malachi. A big shout out to Kelsey. Guys, can we take the like up to 20, darling? Let's take the like up to 20. And please, let's subscribe. Let's subscribe, please. And pull down your name back to back, back to back, back to back. Shout out to Timoria. A big shout out to Charlotte. Shout out to Fallon. A big shout out to Rita. Shout out to Moses. A big shout out to Addie. A big shout out to Miracle. Guys, let's subscribe, let's like and sub. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Gemma. Shout out to Princeton. A big shout out to Daniela. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Natty. A big shout out to Nita. Shout out to Arabella. A big shout out to Saraya. A big shout out to May. Shout out to Laken. A big shout out to Nariel. Shout out to Ariana. Thank you guys. Drop your names back to back. Don't forget to like and to subscribe. Can we take the like up to 30? 30 likes, please. Let's do it. Let's subscribe as well. A big shout out to Alice. A big shout out to David. David, you're welcome. Please, let's go like and subscribe. Let's go. A big shout out to Alice. A big shout out to Mia. Shout out to Ari. Thank you. A big shout out to Sammy. A big shout out to Anna. Shout out to Antoinette. Please, let's go subscribe back to back, back to back. A big shout out to Vicky. A big shout out. Yeah, guys, can you hear me? A big shout out to Brainly. Can you hear me, guys? A big shout out to Sammy. Guys, can you hear me? Please, can you hear me, please? I can hear you. Okay, thank you. A big shout out to Crystal. A big shout out to, yes, okay, you can hear me. Thank God for that. A big shout out to Winter. Guys, let's drop our names. Thank you for spamming. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Sammy. Sammy, please go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Isabella. Shout out to Rahina. Shout out to Apa. A big shout out to Rukia. Shout out to Giselle. Thank you. You're welcome. A big shout out to Rahina. A big shout out to Tenaya. Shout out to Nola. A big shout out to Evelyn. Guys, let's go subscribe. Take just 2 seconds to like and to subscribe. Can we please take the like up to 40 for me? Guys, let's take the likes to 40 and subscribe. Thank you. A big shout out to Millie. Shout out to Kelsey. Shout out to Brookie. A big shout out to Grady. Shout out to Anna. A big shout out to Apia. Is it Apia or Hapa? A big shout out to Lucy. Shout out to Hapa. Shout out to Anna. A big shout out to Adi. A big shout out to Cassidy. Let's go. A big shout out to Nali. A big shout out to Joanne. Shout out to Taylor. Yes, I remember you, Adi. A big shout out to Lexi. Guys, please drop your names, please, so that we can get cracking. Just drop your names, please. A big shout out to Ellie. Guys, we are giving shout outs now. It is just shout outs, okay? Drop your names. If you have any question, please wait till the end of the 10 minutes to the end, okay? I don't just want to be doing it back and forth. Let's just concentrate on one. Then when I'm done, yeah, I can take questions. But for now, yeah, I can't answer your questions or contribute to what you're saying. Okay, let's dive into it. A big shout out to Lexi. A big shout out to Serenity. Shout out to Kingsley. A big shout out to Arehane. A big shout out to Ami. Shout out to Alex. Shout out to Taba. A big shout out to Athen. A big shout out to Jackie. Shout out to Jabba. A big shout out to Ima. Shout out to Rashun from Indian. Namaste. A big shout out to Evelyn. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Robin. A big shout out to Rebecca. A big shout out to Jay. Shout out to Donna. A big shout out to Sophia. A big shout out to Alice. A big shout out to Scala. I love your content. Thank you so much, darling. A big shout out to Caroline. Is that your real hair? No, my darling. Guys, I'm not taking questions. Please just pull down your names at the end of the live. I will take it, okay? Please. A big shout out to Emilia. A big shout out to Sky. A big shout out to August. Shout out to Jira. Shout out to William. A big shout out to Kimberly. Shout out to Gabriel. Shout out to Mackenzie. A big shout out to Lex V. Shout out to Sammy. A big shout out to Loki. Shout out to Eliana. Let's go. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Coupon. A big shout out to Kaylee. A big shout out to Nora. A big shout out to Sana. Guys, let's go like and subscribe. Let's take the like to 40. I just need 2 amazing souls to take the like to 40. And I also need you to subscribe as well. Thank you so much. If you have subscribed, you don't need to subscribe again. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please do well to subscribe. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Jackson. Shout out to Megan. A big shout out to Cornelly. Shout out to Donna. Yeah, a big shout out to Cameron. A big shout out to Brain. A big shout out to Josh. A big shout out to Noah. Shout out to Sky. Let's go. Do. A shout out to Beauty Morris. A big shout out to Liam. Shout out to Christopher. A big shout out to Freya. A big shout out to Erica. Shout out to Tarek. Shout out to Julia. Shout out to Fly. Shout out to Jahima. Shout out to Jessica. Guys, please let's subscribe and like. Then you put down your names back to back. A big shout out to Jeffy. Hi, Jeffy. Please like and subscribe. A big shout out to Hayden. A big shout out to Venga. Shout out to Lo. A big shout out to Erica. Shout out to Arona. Shout out to Brini and Ben. A big shout out to Willa. Shout out to Erica. Shout out to Rota. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Willa. Shout out to Mana. A big shout out to Cam. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Sono Nick. A big shout out to Sono. Please, Sono, you're welcome. Like and subscribe. Can we take the like up to 50, darling? Let's go. Let's go, guys. A big shout out to Upa. A big shout out to Lenaya. A big shout out to Cassidy. A big shout out to Christina. Shout out to Nayeli. Hi Nayeli, nice to see you again. A big shout out to Christine. Shout out to Christopher Bastas. A big shout out to Caroline. Bro, I'm sobbing to you. Oh, thank you so much. A big shout out to Safia. A big shout out to Amaya. Shout out to Prince. A big shout out to Vinegar. Shout out to Jackie. Shout out to Vanda. A big shout out to Alexa. Shout out to Juliana. A big shout out to Finley. Shout out to Shout out to Vanda. A big shout out to Kyle. Let's go. A big shout out to Chris. Shout out to Camelia Elena. Guys, let's go like and subscribe. You all have beautiful names. Really pretty. A big shout out to Ali. A big shout out to Alisa. Shout out to Ketseye. Shout out to Nalia. A big shout out to Stocker. Shout out to Avanya. Shout out to Mackenzie. Shout out to Faith. A big shout out to Olivia Slane. Shout out to Ava. Let's go. Guys, drop your names back to back. Please, can we take the like up to 55? and let's subscribe. Guys, let's subscribe. We are not subbing. That's not nice. Please, let's go subscribe and like. Let's take the like up. Yeah, just very quickly, so that we can continue. A big shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Obe. Shout out to Gracie. You're welcome. Shout out to Selena. Shout out to Jenly. Shout out to Jenny. A big shout out to Niam. Shout out to Aria. Shout out to Olivia. A big shout out to Piku. Shout out to Nia. Shout out to Maya. Shout out to Diane. Shout out to Muruga. Shout out to Mia Chandler. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Olivia. A big shout out to Zadie. Shout out to Lillian. Shout out to Dogman 5555. A big shout out to Shania. Shout out to Peter. Shout out to ZD. Shout out to Kainat. A big shout out to Adley. Shout out to Ollie. Shout out to SJ. Shout out to Lassie. A big shout out to Kainat. Shout out to Celine. Hi, gorgeous. Shout out to Emina. Guys, can we take the like up to 60 for me, please? Let's take the like up to 60 and please let's subscribe. A big shout out to, let's go, a big shout out to Prince. Oh, thank you. Didn't miss your life. You're welcome. A big shout out to Rose. A big shout out to Harriet. Shout out to Jacob. Shout out to Car. Shout out to Sumba. A big shout out to Poppy. Shout out to Emily. Guys, can we take the like up to 60? Thank you so much. A big shout out to Tantum. Shout out to Kali. Shout out to Hong. Shout out to Cheyenne. Shout out to Nina. A big shout out to Loana. Shout out to Massey. Shout out to Obba. Shout out to Haley. Shout out to Gabby. Shout out to Keo. I love your video. Can you? A big shout out to Rhea. Hi, Rhea. Shout out to Kendra. A big shout out to Haria. Shout out to Alice. Shout out to Safa. Shout out to Ayan. Shout out to Pacey. A big shout out to Omba. Shout out to Natalie. Shout out to Emmanuel Mong. Shout out to Alexandra. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Phoebe. Maybe shout out to Kenya. Shout out to Brooke. Guys, let's put down our names back to back. And please, let's subscribe and like. Can we take the like up to 70, please? And let's subscribe as well. A big shout out to Sahara. Shout out to Lexi. Shout out to Mari. Shout out to Lekin. Shout out to Lexi. Thank you, Phoebe. Thank you so much. Shout out to Devin. A big shout out to Guyana. Shout out to Skylar. Shout out to Caris. Shout out to Jacob. Shout out to Addie. Shout out to Annie. Thank you, Phoebe. Thank you so much. Shout out to Damora. Shout out to Sarah Grace. Sarah Grace, you are welcome. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, please, I need four amazing souls to like. Let's take it to 70 and also subscribe. A big shout out to Aubrey. Shout out to Ania. A big shout out to Mia. Shout out to Skylar. Shout out to Sophie. Shout out to Jade. Hi. Shout out to Mangi. Hi, darling. Hope you're good. A big shout out to Adeline. Shout out to Yona. Shout out to Shantam. A big shout out to Aletta. Shout out to Yona. Shout out to Molly. Shout out to Aria. Shout out to Romy. Shout out to Adeline. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Heaven. Guys, let's go like and sub. Let's take the like to 75 for me, please. Shout out to Kaylee. A big shout out to Razi. Shout out to Aden. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Kelly. Shout out to John. Shout out to Kata. Shout out to Camden. Shout out to Aria. Shout out to Addison. Shout out to Annabelle. Shout out to Avita. Shout out to Alexa. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Sabrina. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Bailey. Guys, please, let's go subscribe. Thank you. Shout out to Avaya. Shout out to Staria. A big shout out to Sebastian. Shout out to Caroline. Shout out to Avaya. Shout out to Adley. A big shout out to Alejandro Valentino. You are welcome, Valentino. Nice to meet you. Please subscribe and like. Shout out to Tika Boy Isaac. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. You are all welcome. Nice to meet ya. Yes, bro. A big shout out to Essa. Shout out to Kimi. Shout out to Zoya. Shout out to Gabriella. I'm from Kenya. Oh, nice to meet you, Isaac. Please subscribe. A big shout out to Bailey. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do fashion acts and tutorials. A big shout out to Lara. Please, Bailey, go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Nice to meet you. You're really doing a great job. A big shout out to Adrian. A big shout out to Haley. Haley, thank you for subscribing. A big shout out to Owaso. Shout out to Kata. Shout out to Melanie. A big shout out to Isobella. Shout out to Tensi. Shout out to Elvie and Destiny. Shout out to Caitlin. Shout out to Library. Shout out to Tian. Thank you, gorgeous. Shout out to Married. Shout out to Melanie. Shout out to Akira. Shout out to Betty. Shout out to Mickey House. Thank you. Shout out to Brisley. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Ella. Shout out to Audrina. Shout out to Malik. Shout out to Aliyah. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to Hella. Shout out to Haley. A big shout out to Lana. Shout out to Amia. Shout out to CJ. Shout out to Kane. Shout out to Dora. Shout out to Jackson. Please like and subscribe. Guys, you're welcome. Can we take the like up to 95 for me? Please let's subscribe. Let's just take 1 second. It's just a click. Just a click. 1 second to like and to sub, okay? Thank you so much. Nice to meet ya, bro. A big shout out to Brainsley. Shout out to Hella. Shout out to Malika. Shout out to Molly. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Kainat. Shout out to SpongeBox. Oh dear. Shout out to Adi. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Jane Lini. Shout out to Ahmed. Shout out to Anya Foga. Shout out to Frankie. Shout out to Amd. A big shout out to Logan. Shout out to Anya Foja. Shout out to Mildo. Shout out to Brad Scene. Big shout out to Poppy. Shout out to AJ. Shout out to Donald Duke. Shout out to Ashton. Shout out to Angelina. Shout out to Luna. Shout out to J Sarah. A big shout out to Sammy. Shout out to Ben. Shout out to Jenna. A big shout out to Jace. Shout out to Rocker Okgeno. Shout out to Pauline. Shout out to Luna. Shout out to Mackenzie. Shout out to Kabi. Shout out to Elani. Shout out to Stina. Shout out to Tariq. Shout out to Calm Down. Guys, please let's take the like up to 100. Please let's take the like up to 100. And please let's subscribe. Yeah, 2 seconds, please. Just 2 seconds is done. Shout out to Meko. 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 A big shout out to Lottie. Shout out to Jade. Happy birthday, Christopher. Shout out to Bracing. A big shout out to Christ. Shout out to Lara. Shout out to Juliana. Shout out to Jessara. Shout out to Asha. Shout out to Shania. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Olivia and Mickey. Shout out to Charlotte. A big shout out to Aurora. Shout out to Teddy. Shout out to Shalom. Shout out to Nikki. Shout out to Jessara. Shout out to Kelly. A big shout out to Kiki. Shout out to Cassie. Shout out to Victoria. Shout out to Sarah. A big shout out to Hayden. A big shout out to Cassandra. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to Layla. Shout out to Prince Jasmine. Shout out to Cassine. Shout out to Baba Bebe. Shout out to Paka. Please let's take the like up to 110, and let's subscribe. 2 seconds, please. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Please let us like and sub. Thank you. I pull off my eyes, bully. A big shout out to Luna. 2 seconds, please. Can we take the like up to 110, and please let's subscribe. Luna. Shout out to Rainly. Shout out to Hollies. Let's go. A big shout out to Lena. Shout out to Lily. A big shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Sarios. A big shout out to Hala. Shout out to Zoe. I pull up my hair. Let me wipe this. Okay, guys, let's go. Shout out to Anika. Please, can we take the like up, please? The like is not up at all. It's just stuck. A big shout out to Layla. I can see. A big shout out to Neptune. A big shout out to Hina. Let's go. A big shout out to Hina. I see Ina again. Oh dear, oh dear. A big shout out to Poppy. A big shout out to Amelia. A big shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Lee Corn. Shout out to JJ Mango. Shout out to Karina. Shout out to Sherry. Shout out to Lauren. Shout out to Darlene. Shout out to Adorable. Shout out to Grace. A big shout out to Veronica. Shout out to Katu. A big shout out to Mark. Let's go. Shout out to May. A big shout out to Coco. A big shout out to Bailey. Shout out to Ollie. Guys, let's go like and sub. Let's go, 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 go. Shout out to Liam. Let's go, 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 go. Shout out to Tyler. Shout out to Reynold. Shout out to Vichy. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to David. Shout out to Easy. Shout out to Margot. Shout out to Cassie. Cassidy. Yes, I remember you, gorgeous. Shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Baby. Shout out to Jessara. Guys, you're welcome. Vichy, Jessara, Jacob. Guys, please like and subscribe. You're welcome. Nice to meet you all. Shout out to Naomi. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Liv Morgan. Shout out to Grace Lee. Shout out to Jaden. Shout out to Octavo. Shout out to Camila. A big shout out to Bristol. Shout out to Jeremy. You're welcome. You're welcome, gorgeous. Shout out to Autumn. Shout out to Ayad. Shout out to Briella. Guys, can we take the like up to 120, please? Shout out to Diego. Shout out to Milena. Shout out to Shelby. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Skylene. Shout out to Tahel. A big shout out to Tabby. Shout out to Abiha. Shout out to Zuri. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Bristol. Shout out to Tamara. Shout out to Teddy. Shout out to Jack. A big shout out to Ariana. Shout out to Vanna. A big shout out to Maya. Shout out to Alex. Shout out to Devon. Shout out to Haley. Thank you, Haley. Big shout out to Jaina. Shout out to Autumn. You're welcome. Shout out to Cody. Shout out to Johnny. Shout out to Janessa. Shout out to Otto. A big shout out to Sophie. Shout out to Iris. Shout out to Clara. Shout out to Jessara. Shout out to Forex. Shout out to Daniela. Shout out to Dizon Maze. A big shout out to Luke. A big shout out to Jace. Shout out to Alija. Guys, please let's take this time out to like and subscribe. Just for 2 seconds, please. Let's go like and subscribe, guys. Yeah, guys, let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. All right. A big shout out to my hand. Shout out to Natalie. A big shout out to our Ariel. Shout out to Demario. Happy birthday to you, Miranda. A big shout out to JJ. Shout out to Imra. Shout out to Lily T. Shout out to Octavia. Shout out to Abel. Shout out to Serenity. Shout out to George. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Oshana. Shout out to Elema. Shout out to Robert. Shout out to Sophia. A big shout out to Ben. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Sadie. Shout out to Tilly. Shout out to Ethan. Shout out to Meron. Shout out to Phoebe. Shout out to Rose. Shout out to Ella. Shout out to Alina. Shout out to Anna. Shout out to Ariana. Shout out to Isabella. Oh, thank you so much, Ailey. That's a nice comment. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for appreciating what I do. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Helen. Shout out to Brayley. I love your hair. Thank you. Shout out to Brainley. Shout out to Dima. Shout out to Emily. A big shout out to Meron. Shout out to Ariella. Shout out to Frida. Shout out to Jordan. Shout out to Isabella. Shout out to Calvin. Shout out to Aliyah. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Please let's like and subscribe. Can we take the like up to 140? And please let's subscribe. Okay, let's carry on. A big shout out to Hayden. Shout out to Maya. Shout out to Jacqueline. Shout out to Muhammad. Shout out to Painting. Shout out to Ember. Shout out to Autumn. Shout out to Muhammad. Shout out to Samantha. Shout out to Jocelyn. Shout out to Cash. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Neho. Shout out to Valentina. Shout out to James. Shout out to Harmony. Shout out to Ika. Shout out to Desma. Shout out to Kaya. A big shout out to DJ. Shout out to Jovi. Shout out to Yusra. Shout out to Brainsin Cole. Thank you so much, gorgeous. Shout out to Cassie. You're welcome. Shout out to Adeline. Shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Skylar. Shout out to Peepa. Shout out to James. Shout out to Raina. Shout out to Valeria. Shout out to Orland. Shout out to Volin. Shout out to Holland. Shout out to Ember. A big shout out to Colin. Shout out to Nan. No, I'm not done yet, Addy. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Elana. A big shout out to Kaylin. Shout out to JJ. Shout out to Maisia. Shout out to Chelsea. Happy birthday to you, gorgeous. Shout out to KJ. Shout out to Adi. Shout out to Kaesia. Shout out to Gemma. Shout out to Ramsey. A big shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Malika. Shout out to Adeline. Guys, please, let's take this time to like and sub. Can we take the like up to 155, 1555? And please, let's subscribe. Let's just take a few seconds to like and subscribe. Bless you all. I love you. Okay, a big shout out to Taylor. Happy birthday, Andy. Shout out to Luciana. Shout out to Laura Bell. Shout out to Grace. Shout out to Monica. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Brooke. You're welcome. Guys, drop your names. I give you a shout out. Let's go. Shout out to Lindsay. Shout out to Mezia. Shout out to Zira. Shout out to Lucas. Shout out to Dania. Shout out to Lucille. Shout out to Bella. A big shout out to Annabelle. Shout out to Delilah. Shout out to Michael Jackson. Respect to him. Shout out to Amori. Shout out to Villy. A big shout out to Natalie. Shout out to Kafi. Shout out to Belly Hellish. Shout out to Kasen. Shout out to Bill. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Isla. Shout out to Alice. Shout out to Cord. Shout out to Logan. Shout out to my Michela. Thank you so much, Annabelle. Shout out to Kali. Shout out to Rita. Let's go, 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 go. Shout out to Binky. Shout out to Josiah. Shout out to Alice. Shout out to Scarlett. Shout out to you for your kindness. KJ, thank you. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Blake. Shout out to Sydney. Shout out to Arohi. Shout out to Salma. Guys, please let's take the like up to 60. Yeah, 160. Let's go. Do. And please don't forget to subscribe. Let's take the like up. Quick. Let's take the like up to 160 and let's subscribe, please. A big shout out to Brainsin. Yeah, we done subscribing. A big shout out to Unique. A big shout out to Madelk. Shout out to Lulu. Shout out to Crystal. Shout out to Madek. Thank you for subbing. Shout out to Ivanka. Thank you, KJ, for subbing. Shout out to Sarah. I love you, Sarah. Shout out to Jules. Shout out to Leela. Shout out to Jemina. Shout out to Paris. Shout out to Joseph. Shout out to Harmony. Mandasin. Angeline. Michelle. Skylar. Ella. Shout out to Livy. Shout out to Kim. Shout out to Kiki. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Riva. Shout out to Ivanka. Shout out to Jazzy J. Shout out to Cameron. Shout out to Kiara. Shout out to Jazzy. Shout out to Savannah. Shout out to Kayla. Shout out to Kovi. Shout out to Abraham. Shout out to Karema. Shout out to Karima. Thank you, Sassy. Shout out to Lyra. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Jace. Shout out to Christine. La 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 la. Shout out to Soma. Shout out to Sarah. Shout out to Caleb. Shout out to Kingsley. Shout out to Cassie. Shout out to Kawena. Shout out to Sky. Shout out to Raul Kura. Shout out to Really. Shout out to Nevia. Jesus loves you too. Shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Regan. Shout out to Zoe. Okay, I will stream tomorrow. KJ, thank you so much. Shout out to Tamara. I stream every day, KJ. Every day. Guys, let's take the like up to 170 for me, please. Open up my eyes. Guys, please let's go subscribe. Thank you so much. Guys, let's go subscribe and like. Thank you so much. Thank you. Love you too. Big shout out to Poppy. Shout out to Jiwen. Shout out to Onta. Shout out to Buddy. Shout out to Arad. A big shout out to a big shout out to Aubrey. Shout out to Angel. Shout out to Gracie. Shout out to Nia. Thank you so much. Okay. Shout out to Neela. Shout out to Hadi. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Manon. Shout out to Miranda. Thank you. Shout out to Crash. Shout out to Aunt Addy. Shout out to Annabelle. Shout out to Ginomos. Shout out to Zenia. Shout out to Zeli. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to your lovely mama Deborah. Shout out to Angela. Shout out to Sophie. Shout out to Mila. Shout out to Mangi. Shout out to Jane Lee. Shout out to Ava. Shout out to Lee. Shout out to Alison. Sorry, Alison. Hope you get well soon. Shout out to Daniela. Shout out to Breeze. Shout out to Sophie. Shout out to Zahir. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Sydney. Shout out to Messiah. Shout out to Leela. Guys, please let's take the like to 75, and please let's subscribe. Yeah, let's just take like 5 seconds to subscribe and to like. Thank you. Do 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 do. 5 seconds to like, 5 seconds to sub. Just 5, just 5, just 5, 5 to like and sub. Guys, please let's take the like up and let's subscribe quickly so I can continue. Okay, I think it's done now. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Kate. A big shout out to Alex. A big shout out to Lara Rage. Shout out to Abby. Shout out to Angelia. Shout out to Bonnie. Shout out to Megan. Shout out to Ren. A big shout out to Kia. Guys, please let's go subscribe and like. Please let's subscribe and like. Shout out to Madison. Thank you so much, Poppy. Shout out to Yucha. Please, guys, let's go subscribe and like. Shout out to Evelyn. Shout out to Aliza. Shout out to Jordan. Shout out to Ouya. Shout out to Erica. Shout out to Robert. Shout out to Sadie. Shout out to Jordan. Guys, please let's go like and sub. Let's take the like up to 190. Please let's go. Let's take the like up. And let's subscribe as well. Please let's subscribe. A big shout out to DTI Lana. Shout out to Woo Dana. Shout out to Hapa. Shout out to Ed Carrell. Ed Carl. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Honesty. Shout out to Casey. Shout out to Theo. Shout out to Michael. Shout out to Kania. Shout out to Sama. Shout out to Melis. Shout out to Megan. Shout out to Nat. Shout out to Belinda. Shout out to Regana. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Pavan. A big shout out to Mark. Shout out to Marlowen. Shout out to Aisha. Shout out to Ima. Shout out to Kamika. Shout out to Camilas. Shout out to Rayleigh. Shout out to Finn. Shout out to Naomi. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Love you too. Shout out to Jace Pitts 10. Shout out to Mina. Guys, let's take this time to go like and subscribe. Can we take the like up to 190, please? Yeah, let's take it up to 90, please. And let's subscribe as well. Just 10 seconds should be okay for us to do that. Isn't it? Let's go. 10 seconds, please. I pull up my eyes, cool. Big shout out to Ian. Yeah, I think 1 second should be okay for us to 10 seconds should be okay for us to like and to subscribe. Please, let's do that quickly. I just need 4 amazing souls to take the like up to 190. Just 4 and to subscribe as well. And the grace for you, cunning. All right, let's carry on. Yeah, we need 2 more person to take it to 90. A big shout out to Ash. A big shout out to Mimi. I am in all your stream. Really, Jessica? Wow, thank you so much, gorgeous. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Elina. Shout out to Jessica. Shout out to Aqua. Shout out to Bresley. Shout out to your dad, Caesar. Shout out to Elizabeth. Shout out to Keona. Shout out to Scarlett. Shout out to Maddie. Shout out to Blakely. Happy birthday, dear. Shout out to Ava. Shout out to Amaris. Shout out to Kensley. Shout out to Kiana. Oh, Kiona. Okay. Oh, Kiana. Shout out to Maddie. Shout out to Shaq. Shout out to Ali. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Ava. Shout out to PB. Shout out to Estrella. Shout out to Noah. Shout out to Christina. Shout out to KJ. Shout out to Rebecca. Shout out to Maddie. Shout out to Sky. Shout out to Lauren. Shout out to Trinity. Shout out to Diana. Shout out to Ariane. Shout out to Zinli. Shout out to Claire. Guys, can we take the like up? Let's subscribe as well. Please, let's like and subscribe. Let's just use 5 seconds to, 5 seconds is not too much to like and subscribe. Then we can carry on. Yeah, just 5 seconds, please. Guys, let's go subscribe. Please, we are not subscribing. We are not even moving. We are not liking. Please, let's go do it. That is only what will make me happy. Yeah. So please, let's go subscribe. Thank you. And you can turn on your notification bell because I go live every day. Okay. So, yeah, if you want to see me, you subscribe. I go live every day. I'm a YouTuber streamer. Yeah, and what I do is this. This really makes people happy, and I'm also happy doing it. A big shout out to Jaylee. Shout out to Paisley. Shout out to Sky. Shout out to Jayla. Shout out to Divine. Shout out to Finn. Shout out to Amelia. Shout out to Hadi. Shout out to Natalia. Shout out to Demi. Shout out to Eddie Buddy. Shout out to Paige. Shout out to Adu. Shout out to Trinity. Shout out to Evelyn. Shout out to Alana. Shout out to Morgan. Shout out to Hadi. I put up my high school. Shout out to Savannah. Shout out to Classic. Shout out to Adi. Shout out to Asdi. Shout out to Rovio. Shout out to West. Shout out to Jamaria. Shout out to BB. Shout out to MK. Shout out to Alexa. Shout out to Mayeli. Shout out to Ruth. You're welcome. Shout out to Adeline. Shout out to Sanda. Shout out to Freya. You love my account. Thank you. Shout out to Emmanuel. Shout out to Kayin. Shout out to Divine. Shout out to Sharks. Shout out to Emma. Shout out to Aleha. Shout out to Dominic. Shout out to Tisha. Shout out to Painting. Shout out to Kaylin. Shout out to Helen. Shout out to Alexa. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Ariane. Shout out to Linda. Shout out to Bellotia. Shout out to Mayala. Shout out to Eleni. Shout out to Faith. Shout out to Lena. Shout out to Ashra. Shout out to Mackenzie. Guys, let's take 2 seconds to like and sub. If you haven't subscribed, please let's go subscribe and drop your names. Please let's like, let's subscribe and drop your names. You know I stream every day, so like, subscribe and drop your names back to back. Shout out to Dakota. Shout out to Alicia. Guys, I'll give you like 2 seconds to subscribe and to like. I'll give you just 2 seconds. Please subscribe and like so I can continue. Yeah, just 2 seconds, please, to like and subscribe, please. Yeah, I just want you people to, to like and subscribe. Then when I'm ready to give out a shout out, everybody go back to the comment section. So it doesn't be like I'm leaving some people behind or I'm starting without waiting for people that are really doing it. Yeah. Some people, even if you tell them to like and subscribe, they won't still do it. But their name is being called out. They are being given a shout out, which is, I just think it's not fair. So, but regardless, I'll still give you a shout out. Nothing is, it's not bad. Since I'm happy doing it. So, yeah, are we done? Have we liked and we have subscribed so that we can start again together? I don't want to leave anyone behind. A big shout out to Lola, the lovely sister. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Anita Bomba. Shout out to Dia. Shout out to Aria. My first live stream, please. Oh, big shout out to Sarah Church. You're welcome. Nice to meet you. Please like and subscribe, Sarah. Shout out to Rocky. Shout out to Mary. Shout out to Cora. Shout out to Trinity. Shout out to Regan. Shout out to Marina. Shout out to Shaina. Shout out to Miracle. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Mariana. Shout out to Ayana. Shout out to Holly. Shout out to Johnny. Shout out to Rio. Shout out to Ansa. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Camila. Shout out to Rose. Shout out to Havlin. Shout out to Anza. Shout out to Sasha. Shout out to Angelina. Shout out to Malika. Shout out to Mariam. Shout out to Penny. Shout out to Ollie. Shout out to Jasira. Shout out to Sonia. Shout out to Brinley. Shout out to Sissy. Shout out to Aulani. A big shout out to Moon. Shout out to Copper. Shout out to Bella. Shout out to Kia. Yeah, guys, please let's go subscribe, please. Just 1 second. Click on the subscribe button. Also like for me. Let's take the like up. 1 second, please. Is okay. Okay, please let's go do it. Let's like and subscribe back to back and drop your names back to back. If I've not called you, apologies. Probably you are not putting it out there enough for me to see. So if I've not called you, put your name down there so I can see it as in back to back. Yeah, don't stop till I've called you. Okay, please don't stop putting your name down. Okay, don't just put one and think I will see it. I won't. Just put your name there till I call your name, please. Okay, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I literally trim every day. Yeah, I'm a YouTuber, trimmer, and streamer. So yeah, I stream every day, and you're all welcome anytime, any day to come. Yeah, I think yeah, so far so good. This stream has really lifted people's soul, make them happy, make their day brighter, their evening cooler, and their afternoon great. So drop your names back to back. Let's do it again. If you have subscribed, if you have liked, please drop your names back to back. I will call you, and please be patient with me. Yeah, it will get your turn. A big shout out to Zeke. Shout out to Bobby. A big shout out to Cadme. Shout out to Juliana. Shout out to Django, your lovely doggy. Shout out to Valentina. Shout out to Peepa. Shout out to Jackson. Shout out to Nakota. A big shout out to Leilani. Shout out to Alicia. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm seeing your comments. You're beautiful, you're pretty, you're gorgeous. Yeah, I see all of that. You're gorgeous as well. I want to say thank you so much for your lovely and sweet, constructive comments. A big shout out to Jadan. A big shout out to Grace. Shout out to Helen. Shout out to Shake. Shout out to Jade. Shout out to Grace. Shout out to Janoa. Shout out to JC. Shout out to Red Velvet. Shout out to Charlene. Shout out to Shan. Shout out to Leilani. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to Mingo. Shout out to Israel. I love you too. Thank you. Shout out to Jackson. Shout out to Dino. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Angelica. Shout out to John Mingo. Shout out to Angie. Shout out to Aliana. Shout out to Brayla. Shout out to Mosey. Shout out to Kylie. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Yeah, please let's go. Let's go like and subscribe and drop your names back to back. Back to back. Don't stop till I call you. A big shout out to London. Shout out to Grace. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Shaheen. Shout out to Brihela. Shout out to Gia. Shout out to Jocelyn. Shout out to Glory Hannah. Shout out to Young Boy. Shout out to Luna. A big shout out to Jenny. Shout out to Bella. Shout out to Chanel. Shout out to Marcel Leo. L. Marcel. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Easy. Shout out to Lorenzo. A big shout out to Cecilia. Shout out to Aliyah. Shout out to Lara. Thank you. Shout out to Ellie. Kamota Petu. Shout out to Onta. Shout out to Cecilia. Shout out to Kyra. Shout out to Soul. Shout out to Vegan. Shout out to Nevadia. Shout out to Kaylan. Shout out to Rosa. Shout out to Flora. Shout out to Tamira. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Rosa. Shout out to Christian. Shout out to Kinsey. Shout out to Denisa. Shout out to Aden. Shout out to Isabella. Shout out to Lania. Shout out to Marlena. Shout out to Nova. Shout out to Mary. Shout out to Cherish. Shout out to Tamira. Shout out to Lucy. Shout out to Icon Spotted. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe quickly. Yeah, please let's take 2 seconds to like and sub. Like and sub. Let's subscribe, guys. Guys, let's go subscribe. Please let's subscribe. Then you put your name down back to back. I pull off my high schooler. Guys, please let's go subscribe. Please let's subscribe and also like. And when you've done that, please drop your names back to back. I'll give you a shout. Trust me. Yeah, guys, please let's subscribe and drop your names. I'll give you a shout. Yeah, I'll give you a shout out, okay? Back to back. A big shout out to your lovely sister Tamiri and Charm. Pretty names, pretty. Shout out to Anika. Shout out to Emma. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Edward. Shout out to Alexandra.